Hi guys, this is NECA Agnes Wachuku here live on Podcast Diaries number 27. Today's podcast is live, and the reason why it's live is because I'm going off the top of my head on what I feel, and I'm going to make this as less stressful or hype, because it's late. It's 12:07 a.m. in the morning. And this is just basically about being honest and being real when you first meet someone. And what I mean when you first meet someone, it could be anybody. It could be a potential partner. It could be an associate. It could be a coworker. It could be anyone. But basically, I'm going to stick to relationships. I'm going to stick to potential, lovers, partners, significant others, spouses. And what I'm talking about is I just recently dealt with a situation where, and I could talk about this because I want to be relatable. I don't want it to be a situation where you guys can't relate to me. And that's okay, because I know that there's a few people out there, a few females out there who can relate to me. And once I post these podcasts, you guys will have a better understanding of who I am as a person, not just as a woman. But today, I dealt with a situation where a potential partner, questioned me about something that he knew that I did, And what I mean by that, I mean, for example, let's say, I'm trying to think of a vice. We all have vices. We all have things that we do that other people don't like, because no one's perfect. We all do things that other people don't like or approve of, i.e. a vice. Some people are sex addicts, some people are drunkards, some people smoke weed, some people do drugs, some people watch porn all the time, some people watch too much TV, some people eat too much. We all have vices. And so what I'm saying is, let's say, for example, you meet a potential partner, right? When you met them that day, you was completely honest. You were yourself. You showed them who you really were, who you really are. Not really were, who you really are. And I'm going to use an example. I'm not going to, go into detail of, what he checked me about, but not to make it too personal. But let's say, for example, I have a porn addiction. I'll use porn. I don't have a porn addiction. That's not, I don't watch porn, but I'll use that as an example because some people have those type of vices. So let's say, we just, met, right? And you see me watching porn on my phone, right? And, maybe the first day you see me, maybe the first day you meet me, you might be, you might just like the way I look physically, so you don't really know who I am. And because you like the way I look physically, you bypass that vice that I have. And that vice, for example, like I said, let's say it's porn, right? So fast forward, let's say weeks pass by, maybe months, and you maybe see me watching, for example, let's say my vice is porn, right? You see me watching porn, and you start checking me about it, or you start badgering me about it, or you make me feel bad deep down because you don't like the fact that I have that vice of watching porn. But my thing is, the first day you met me, you saw me watching porn. How come you ain't check? Why didn't you check it then? If you have an issue with a vice that someone has, you shouldn't get into a relationship with them. You shouldn't get into no relationship with someone that you feel like you are not compatible with. And part of being compatible with someone is being able to understand their flaws, deal with their flaws, as while they're dealing with their flaws. And this is vice versa. Same thing with a woman. Let's say she meets a man and she finds out that he smokes weed and she doesn't smoke weed. Well, you should probably get with someone who doesn't smoke weed. My thing is, if you don't smoke weed, don't get with someone who smokes weed. Because after a while, it starts to annoy you because you don't smoke weed. You don't understand why they smoke weed. But if they get with someone that understands, weed smokers, that won't be a conflict of interest. That's a conflict of interest when you get into a relationship with someone that you might have, differences that can cause problems. For example, another example I can give you is, let's say an older woman gets with a younger man. You get with this younger man and you know that I'll use another example. He has money issues. He has a problem managing his money. That's a valid, example. That's a valid, vice. Someone who doesn't know how to manage money. I can speak on that because I'm still dealing with that. I'm still dealing with trying to manage my money as a woman. But let's say an older woman gets with a younger man who has issues with managing his money. It's going to become an issue for her because she's maybe settled in her life, maybe settled in her career, possibly retired, but she gets with this younger man who maybe is not working, or if he is working, he's not making that much money. But when you met him, you knew he didn't make that much money. When you met him, you knew that he didn't have that much money. And if he doesn't have that much money, it's a possibility he has money management issues. Or maybe he has an issue with getting a better paying job. So why are you badgering him or pestering him about it when you knew that he had this issue? It's one thing if he lied to you and he perceived to be one way. But if he's being honest with you from the beginning of who he is as a man, what is the point of you pestering him about? I can see if, like I said, he kept that a secret. I can see if he hid that from you and you are finding out. I'm gonna give an example. I'm gonna use myself an example. I remember a few years ago I had met someone, right? At the time I was in a relationship, so I didn't really, have any type of romantic, interest in this person that I met, because I was in a relationship. But I believe he had interest in me. I believe he did in some type of way. But I told him I had a significant other. I told him I had a man. I told him I was in a relationship. I didn't lie to him. He knew. I didn't know that this particular individual has porn addiction. He, is very, there's nothing wrong with being a very sexual person, but if you're going to be a sexual person, I need to be able to trust you. I need to be able to trust that you and I are the only ones having sex. But at that time, like I said, I was in a relationship, so I bypassed that. But he wasn't really fully honest with who he was as a man until later on in our friendship. I started finding out different things about him. And his favorite line to me when I would check him about something is, well, I told you who I was. No, you never told me that you are a slime ball, and you never told me that you're that type of dude that, you're into, casual sex. You never disclosed to me that you're into casual sex, because as long as I've known you, you had a girlfriend, I had a boyfriend or a man. I don't deal with boys, but I had a man, you had a girlfriend. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, well, if you got a girlfriend and I'm in a relationship, you clearly are not into casual sex, because I'm thinking that you're into having monogamous sex. I'm not into casual sex, guys. I'm just not. I never will be, and I'm not. That's the shit you do when you're younger, like in your early 20s or teens. And I'm not, I'm not saying that, I'm not advertising casual sex. I'm not saying casual sex is good for anybody, because it's still problems that come with it. But what I'm saying is, after a certain age, that shouldn't be something you're doing, because you learn from your mistakes. You learn from past situations that casual sex is not it. But to go back to what I'm saying, not to ramble and not to go off topic, but I just feel like people need to be just more honest with who they are. Don't just, make the other person feel like they're just finding out some bad things about you, and then when they check you about it, you feel like you're entitled. The only time you should feel, upset or irritated is a situation like mine where I was completely honest with this person. I was myself. I didn't lie. I didn't cover anything up. I was completely myself with this person. So for this person to get mad at me about something or advice that I have that he knew about, and my thing is, if you don't like this vice, then you should probably get with someone who doesn't have this vice. There are women out there who does not have this particular vice that I have. And I'm not going to mention what the vice is. It's nothing crazy, guys, at all. But it is a vice that I just choose not to disclose on this podcast. But I'm pretty sure you guys get what the vice is, because my podcast is based off of this particular vice. It's just a way for me to calm myself down and relax. I don't, do crazy drugs. I'm not out here, getting sloppy drunk. I'm not out here partying all day and night. I'm not out here going to clubs. I just chill. I really just chill and stay out the way. Mind my own business, stay out the way. So I just don't understand how a man can feel like I betrayed. It's like you're coming at me like I betrayed you, and it's like I didn't betray you. You knew what kind of woman I was, because when you met me, I was myself. And from that day, I still have been myself. That woman that you met that night is still the same woman that I am on April. What's today? Today's April 13th. I was still that same person. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't need a man or anybody in general to check me about a situation that you already knew about. To me, it makes me feel like either you got memory issues or you're just trying to pick a fight with me. And I feel like if you're trying to pick a fight with me, what, you want to cheat? You want to cheat? You mad about some other stuff that you don't want to talk about? You mad because, what, I don't want to give you no pussy? Or are you upset about another situation? I'm just saying, you be real about what it is that you're trying to come at me about. You can't be mad at that particular advice because you knew who I was when you first met me. I never lied to you. I didn't cover it up. It wasn't like, oh, you just found out and you're like, damn, I didn't know she was doing this. Why she keep this from me? And you just found out. No, you been knew. The first night you met me, I was doing this. So, going back to what I said, this is my live podcast. This is Podcast Diaries number 27. And it's just basically, like I said, it's a free-for-all talk. I'm just being honest. Like, I just feel like people need to just be honest with their, potential partner. Just be real about who you are. And if they accept you for who you are, then that's great. And if they don't, then they need to just keep it pushing. And then vice versa. If you meet somebody and you don't really like what they do, but you like the way they look, but you don't like what it is that they do, then you should probably keep it pushing. Because at the end of the day, there's more attractive people out there. I'm not the only attractive woman out there, and he's not the only attractive man out there. I guarantee you he will meet another attractive woman, and I guarantee you I'll meet another attractive man who will accept me for me. I accept him for him. I'm just asking the same. I've said multiple times, if a man doesn't want to commit, if he doesn't want to, get with the program, then you should just keep it pushing. If you don't want to commit, keep it pushing. If you don't want to accept me for who I am, keep it pushing. And don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that if a person has a vice, they shouldn't get that vice out of their life. I'm not saying that people should keep vices in their life. If there's a vice in your life that's not good for your lifestyle, get rid of it. But all I'm saying is just be real with your potential partner. So that way it gives them room to make a decision. So that way you're not making the decisions for them. When you are not open and honest with your significant other or potential significant other, you're not giving them room to make their own decision. You're making it harder for them to make a decision. But if you're being real and honest from the beginning, and you keep that consistent, that honesty consistent, they shouldn't have a problem making a decision. It shouldn't be hard for you to figure out if you want to be with me or not. It shouldn't be hard for you to figure out if this is something you can do or not. If you can't do it, keep it pushing. I'll understand. I'll understand. That's why I am very big on removing myself from a person's life. Once you make me feel like I'm a problem in your life, I'll remove myself. I will take a hike. If you feel like I'm a problem in your life, I will take a hike quick. Like old boy said in his song, take a hike. But he was talking about a dike, but I ain't no dike. But I'm just saying, I would take a hike out of your life quick, and won't have no hard feelings towards you. I just feel like, don't start an argument with me and then expect me to be all sweet and lovey-dovey after. No, you gonna have to give me some time to think. You have to give me some time to think, because now I'm reconsidering if I even want to deal with you, because you're making me feel like you're making me feel like who I am as a person is not acceptable. All because of that one vice you don't like. And that one vice is not killing you. And that damn for sure is not going to kill me, because I'm very, like I said, I'm covered by the Most High God. And I don't make this particular vice my end all be all. This particular vice is not causing me to be obsessed with the, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, if you have a vice, don't allow it to ruin your life. Don't allow it to control your life. All I'm saying is, if you have a vice, don't allow it to control your life. Try to, manage it and get better. If you can't manage it, get better. And when I mean by managing it, I mean, everything is moderation. So I don't judge men that have issues with porn addiction. I don't judge people who have sex addictions. I don't judge people who have eating addictions. I don't judge people who have vices, period, because no one's perfect. But if you have a vice that I can't, deal with, I'm not going to get in a relationship with you, because you know why? Because I know deep down inside it's not right for me. And I feel like we all need to think like that. Same thing with a man. If you get with a woman and she has a vice that's just not working, it irritates you. If that vice irritates you, then you should probably get with someone that's like you. We all have habits that we need to correct and fix. So if you have a habit that makes someone irritated or annoys someone or makes someone angry, then you exit their life, and vice versa. They should probably leave your life if they have a habit that you don't like, or if there's a habit that you got that they don't like, they should just exit your life. It's no problem, especially if it's just new in the game. If we just known each other for not even a month or not even that long, it shouldn't be that hard for us to exit each other's life. I can see if we invested years or a year together. I can even see if we invested 6 months with each other. But if we haven't even invested a whole month, it shouldn't be an issue. So, with that being said, guys, this is Podcast Diaries number 27, and the title is "Accept Me for me, or Leave Me Alone." Accept me for me, or leave me alone. Good night, guys.